All right, so we were talking about being pushed.
Yeah, and you're saying about like some coach push certain players because they have the potential. It's funny because I used to work. I mean, still work there, but there are times when I would know some people would come in, and I'd go to the manager like, this person just walked into the bar, and he'd be like, "Where?" And does he need anything? And he'd go over and stuff, and I'd point out these little things, and to the point where sometimes he'd come to me at the front, and we're all there, and he'd be like, let's say he's. Somebody's coming in, can you put this in, whether it's their friend or someone like, Damon Dash coming in. And I'd be like, why are you giving all, like,
to me?
Yeah, there's always a responsibility. And if there was anything, he'd come over and be like, no, what do you think that we could have done? Like, how many numbers you thought we could have done tonight? Like, it was always like that kind of after effect. Like, how do you think that we could have done something
He wants
different?
your opinion.
And it was always interesting. And I that I appreciated, but some of the times when he'd be like always coming to me, I'd be like, there are other people here. Like, why are you thinking? And then after a while, I was like, well, obviously, he trusts that when he gives you an information, it's carried through and everything is done because you've done it and it's never been like a miscommunication. Maybe he gave information to other people and they dropped the ball. Or he just knows. Yeah, know who you can. And he closed some people out and just really directly, it was either me and this other girl, and if she wasn't working, it was always. And I used to get frustrated at first, and then I started to get it. It's the same thing as surrendering into and not fighting against why someone is doing something. Yes. They're giving you that so much
attention. And because sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative, but it's because
meanwhile they were meeting behind the scenes with the partners, thinking where they can place people and who's going to be in charge of something, and other people just do their regular. And
that's what's important too about, and I don't want to be preachy about, doing a good job when you think nobody's watching. Yeah. Sometimes people do the bare minimum because they think that they're not being watched. They think this is all that's asked of me, so this is all I'm going to do. Right. I'll be the first one out of here. I can leave and go instead of staying late and maybe doing a little extra, something that somebody did not actually do. But that's what good management will notice. Yeah. And that's how you get promoted and you get, reach assignments and all of the stuff. And that's how you move through the ranks as opposed to somebody who just comes in, does their shift, and leaves. Right. So that's the difference between us and them, or you and them. Right. But I think it's once you realize why you're getting the attention, then you feel different about it. Right. Like I was taking this this exercise class or whatever, and like again the instructor kept like, yeah, you're almost there, but just do this and it'll be better. And I'm kind of like, if I'm like 90% good, like just leave me alone, But she's like, because it's almost perfect, so I'm gonna push you because you're right 10% more,
and I know you'll do it,
and I know you can do it. Whereas this person may only doing 40%, that I don't got time to get the other 60 from her. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes you feel special, and that's what inspires you to do more. Even as a teacher, I have students who, they fail, they don't do well. It's just kind of like they ask who they're going to be. But the students I know who are kind of on the cusp, like, if you just do this, you can get an A. I'll be on your ass because I know you have that potential. Right. So I say all this to say that when it's easy for God to allow you to do what you want to do and live a mediocre life. Right. So you can go and work in a field that you may not, like, say you stay in fashion. Maybe God could open the door and say, here, this job as an assistant buyer or something. And then you get in it and you're like, it's not really what I want, but it sounds good to go and tell people I'm an assistant buyer. Right. So you stick with it, but you're really not happy. Right. He could let you live that life and you'll probably be all right. You make good money. You'll make it through like a lot of people do. But because he cares about you and sees so much potential in you, he's going to push you out, make you uncomfortable for a while, and push you into where you need to be. And maybe, in years later, you're going to be whatever the title is, and you'll be not only have the title, but you'll have the job you want. Yeah. And you'll be able to make money doing it.
And I noticed that the common theme for both of us was always like, yes, we want to make money, but we always wanted to be happy first. Yes. And so because we want to be happy first, the universe and God is going to answer that first because they feel like, well, that's at the top of your list. Yeah. And we're like, no, I'm not doing this. But he goes, but that's going to make you happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And whereas we say it because we really want to be, but we feel like we have to, like you say, do other things to kind of supplement to fit into society.
And God reads your heart.
Yeah, he's like, you want to be happy. Anything. That's where you're going to be happy. Yeah. And
just trust me on this.
You're going to be happy, and then you can figure out how to make the money or what you want to do with your money once you. But this is going to make you happy because that's what you said you wanted first.
Exactly. And I know you, and I know what you. It's just like a parent. You know your child, and you know where they're going to. Like they might want candy right now, but you know it's going to give them a bellyache later, and now they can't go out and play with such and such. So I know you want to go and play with your cousins when you get here. So even though I'm about to tell you no now, now to this candy, I'm doing this for you so that later on you can get what you really want. Yeah. Because I know my child. And that's why, we're children of God. And God knows you. He reads your heart. You don't have to tell him things. Yeah. So it's like, you might suffer right now, but it's for your best. Right. And that's the stuff that makes you, allows you to go through the hard times because you know that there's something better waiting for you.
But we're human, so we're on to the next, which is why they say, like Eckhart Tolle and like Deepak Chopra always says, stay in the now. Yes. Because we are always, what messes us up is we're looking in, how's this going to turn out? Or I don't want to make the mistake that I made before, instead of kind of like, which is a conscious thing to always be where you're at, where you're supposed to be. Moment. Right.
Because you don't know. I mean, how many times you think that you know how something's going to pan out and it doesn't pan out anything like that? Right. History told you it would because it did it before, but it doesn't happen this time. We're not fortune tellers. We don't know what the future holds for us. Right. So sometimes you just got to let it go. And another thing I heard that I really believe in is sometimes you pray for something and it sounds outlandish and you're like, how is that going to happen? Yeah. There's no way feasible. I say next year this time I want to own a house and have a backyard. How is that going to happen? Right. I don't have the money I want right now, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about how. Yeah. Just ask for what you want.
And then you'll work towards it.
If it's for you.
Things will start to align itself to where you're like, oh, okay. And then before you know it.
You're there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Not to say you can sit on your ass. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing what you're doing. But don't worry about the details because that's where the universe will work together to create it behind the scenes.
And you're also working on the details. Once you say it, you're also innately going to work on the details without really knowing that you're working on the details.
Yeah. Because if you think it's never going to happen, then you're not going to work on any details.
Yeah, because I feel like you recognize where you're supposed to be because you had to settle in the now. Like you had to take a step back and go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like not anticipate like what you're supposed to be doing and be like, well, I'm doing this now, and this is being offered to me now. So what's going on here for you to allow? And then you start to be like, oh, this is how that. Because we only get enlightened by just actually taking a step back into what you're actually doing or what's actually happening at the moment. Yes. To realize, oh, okay. Oh, and then you start to reflect. Message. Right, you start to reflect on,
Yeah, you really got to take in and look at the big picture, and sometimes it's hard. And you can see it fast. For other people, but we don't see it for ourselves because we're too close to it. We're too caught up in the day to day, and that's a really important thing. You said, live in the now. You really do have to, and that doesn't mean spend all your money because tomorrow is not guaranteed. It's just about enjoying, and also enjoying the moment because it goes so fast. And I know I used to do this all the time. I'd be at a party or anything having a good time and all I'm thinking about is when's the next good time. Right. Instead of enjoying the drink I'm having or the conversation I'm having, I'm looking at the door like who else is going to walk in? Who else am I going to talk to? What are we going to do after this? Where are we going to eat when we leave here? I mean, what the hell? Yeah. I'm not enjoying this time right now. Yeah. And the same thing with this whole social media. Posting time, status updates and pictures and shit to snap. Instead of sitting here and enjoying the moment, I'm trying to what do you call it? Memorialize it.
Yeah, yeah. But you said something the last time I was living here, and when we went to that rooftop party, you said lives are bits of moments or something like that. And I took that with me, and that's why my 2014 was so great, because there are times that I was sitting at dinner or doing something that I was having a really good time, and I remember stepping back going, I'm having a good time. And then when I went home, I was like, I had a good time. And I lived in that. So it kind of like each time I recognized that I was having a good time, and I was like, I'm doing, this is all doing well. And if I made a good decision and it worked out really well, or it's propelled me to do certain things, I recognize that I was doing it, and it just, so it's not, I didn't have like any like big things happen to me in 2014, but I had those little moments that I really enjoyed, which made the entire year, like I liked the entire year. It was a really, because I remembered all those small little things, sitting across from somebody, or, being in a spot that, I was having a good time. I went home, I was like, this is a good time. The date, like I'm not seeing anybody right now, but the date that I had and the time that I did have, that I was having a good time. Yeah. And those things, I just remembered, and then it was I thought about it, and I was like, this is
and that's interesting, because I heard you say that last night, that you had a really good year. Yeah. And my first think was like, well, what happened this year? What did you do? But it's not about a big thing. Right. Like, what people want to say is, this was a good year because I had a baby. Or this was a good year because I got married. This is a good year because I went to Europe.
Or I got a promotion.
Yeah, but why does it have to be some big monumental thing to say it was a good year? Right. And that's why, because you're leaving out all those moments, and you're just thinking, you're trying to, if somebody say, why was this a good year, you're trying to think of what happened big. big.
Right.
And if nothing happened big, then you'd be like, nah, I didn't really have a good
year. It was all right.
You know, but who says who?
Yeah.
Just on the flip side, too, it was a bad year because one bad thing happened. Is it really? 365 days, one bad thing happens, makes it a bad year?
Right.
Not necessarily. You really got to look, I mean, it's just about looking at the big picture, you know? And like I said, moment to moment.
Those little moments are why I said those were nice. Yeah. And, you know, and I made a point, and there are a couple of them, and they were like little frustrations, but the little moments I was like, if I thought about it, I had smaller little moments of just sitting and being around people that I liked, and the decisions I made, and like, you know, just making the decision of taking out my life insurance, because I was just up late last night looking at Susie Orman a couple of nights every time I'd come home from work. And she'd be like, well, if you don't have any kids and you're not married, why you... Yeah, and I was paying into this life. Just making that decision and putting it into like a fidelity fund or doing something made me feel good about the fact that I was being responsible. You know, there was
investing in your future.
Right, information that I didn't know before that I had found out. And I made those steps to make it. Like, I called my insurance company the next day and was like, how much, you know, and how much is the surrender charge? Those are little things that I did for myself. I know, surrender, I did pay a surrender charge to get some of that.
Yeah, but you surrendered for something better.
Yeah.
It's a synchronicity. That's the words are coming up again.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
It's very interesting. And those are little moments. They're not like, I didn't...
monumental.
Yeah, I didn't make stops.
But you got to notice those. And I think that's where people just don't take notice. We only take notice. And I do it to this day. Like, I mean, simple stuff. I get a parking spot that I didn't expect. I say, thank you, God. Like, it's a small thing. And I'm not saying that I pray on a regular basis as much as I should. I used to feel like prayer had to be this formal thing. You know, part of it is going to Catholic school, getting on your knees, putting your hands together, saying the Our Father, saying the Hail Mary. And because of the formality of it all, it turned me off. And I felt like if I wasn't in the right frame of mind, I wasn't ready to talk to God. Like, I can't talk to you right now. I just did something bad. Or I'm not ready. Or I'm not on my knees. Like, but it's just a conversation. So, you know, you can be in bed. You could be sitting on the toilet. You could be taking a shower. Whatever, you know, it's just a conversation. And you got to let go of all of that, you know, formality and just let it
what
be
it's
like
supposed to be.
Yeah, like exactly. Go back to this perception. I mean, part of it, I guess, is the way I was raised, but leaving it alone. So I just realized that when I felt silly sometimes, like, why would I thank God for a parking spot? I need to thank Him that I'm breathing, that I woke up, that the sun is shining, all that shit that people say. It's just good. But you know what? I'm grateful that I found a parking spot right in front of my building. It didn't have to be here.
Yeah.
I came home late at night. I was going to be like, damn, I have to park and walk. It was a parking spot. Thank you, God. Like, it's just appreciation for the things that don't have to be.
Right.
And not necessarily the case.
Yes.
So you have to always, like, in little things. Like, sometimes, you know, you ever, like, just say you have to make a phone call about a bill or something, and you're like, oh, God, I'm going to have to wait online. It's going to be some bullshit. It's going to be something.
She's going to tell me something, and I know I'm probably
And then you get through, and everything runs smoothly, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I thank God for that, because it's just like, you know, we're so quick to be angry and be like, see this damn traffic, Jesus Christ. Oh, I got somewhere to go. But we don't thank Him or the universe or whatever you believe in for the moments when shit works out, because we expect things to work out.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's the expectation. Like, I'm supposed to get to work.
So when they don't work out, then you're
mad.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get a seat on the train. I'm supposed to get my coffee the way I like it because I spent $5. Sometimes the shit doesn't happen that way. Yeah. But when my coffee's really good, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful because I know it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And I think that constant appreciation is what brings more blessings into your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you don't appreciate the shit you have, why would anybody give you more? I go back to the child thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I give you toys and you just give you you just toss it to the side, or here's your Barbie doll, and she just moves on to something else. Why would I keep giving you shit?
Yeah, there's another thing that this girl, Chanel Cooper Sykes says. Yeah. She also said you have to demonstrate that you can take care of something in order to get more of it.
You do.
And if you act like you said, it's flipping and you don't take care, well, then you're not gonna get anything more, because the universe or God sees that you don't appreciate it, or you're not deserving of it because you're not taking care of the little things that I'm giving you now. It's the same thing about when people come into money. If you can't handle money, you're not going to ever have it. You may have it for a split of a second, but because your day-to-day life says that you cannot handle it, you're not going to get larger amount of money, because it's going to be like, I'm not going to give you more of something that you can't handle. You're going to squander it all.
Exactly.
And people always wonder why they can't get more. You're only going to be right where you're supposed to be because you're not demonstrating that you can have any more.
It's like a relationship. Yeah. You know, if you have a relationship and you don't treat it right, or you're so, you know, just flagrant and whatever, you know, why would you get more? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because and that's just a principle. And that's what I think about, like, I look at God, like, and not to turn this into a spiritual discussion, but, you know, I believe, and this might be some silly thing, that the reason we all have mothers, because we were talking earlier about how your mother is like everything to you. And because, yeah, God is all seeing, God is all being, he's everywhere. But in the physical, God is not. Mm-hmm. So his physical manifestation for everybody is to have a mother. Mm-hmm. Because that's the one person who loves you unconditionally, would die for you, would do anything for you. I mean, who else in this world? We all need that one person who would do those things for us, and then in return we do it for somebody else. So maybe because God physically can't do that for everybody, he gives everybody a mother who will fulfill what God is to you. Right. So I look at it like, you know, if it's the things that the messages that a lot of them transfer over, like, you know, God doesn't give you stuff if you can't appreciate it. A good mother doesn't keep giving you shit if you can't appreciate it. Right. Like, you know, it's just it's the same principles, and you can take them from the spiritual into the practical every day. Yeah. You know, it's just about, you know, being grateful to your mother and being appreciative and asking your mother for something. I mean, as a kid, and that's the great thing about being a child, is like you asked and you didn't care how it got there. I would go to my mother, I want the Barbie dream house.
Yeah, you didn't know where it was coming from.
I don't know where the money was coming from. I don't care how she's going to pick it up.
Out there.
How she was going to get it in the house. I know my mother didn't have a car, but I said I wanted it, and guess what? On Christmas it was there. Right. But that's the child mind where I don't have to worry about the steps involved, and I got it. Yeah. And the same thing with God. I want a house.
And whatever behavior that you felt like you had to display at 7 or whatever it is to get it, you made sure that was good. If I needed to have good grades, if I needed to come in a certain time of day, you know, and there were all challenges. Maybe you missed it a couple times, but you on 90% of what you needed to do in order to get that Barbie dream house, you also did the work.
You did your part.
You know, in your own little way. It's the same thing, and like you said, in things that you ask for, whether it's a house or a man, you put it out there, and then you do whatever it is on your part to kind of get you closer to what you want.
Exactly.
It's the same principle.
As you should. Yeah. You know.
But I think the difference between a child and human beings, we doubt it every so often if it's a little longer. Whereas we're like, I'm getting it on Christmas. I said Christmas is going to be done. Yeah. And even I said it in October, I'm going to do whatever I need to or September. We knew Christmas, so we didn't worry about how it's going to get there. We knew on Christmas Day, that's what's going to happen.
Just like a baby cries because they're hungry. I don't care where the milk comes from. I don't care where the food comes from. I cry is a titty in my mouth. Mm-hmm. You know, I get what I want because I have made it known that this is what I want, and we're afraid to ask for what we want. And we think it's too big. Right. How's it going to happen? Can't see it in the natural. Oh no, it just can't be. But it, you know, it really can, and that's why I believe in the whole vision board thing and putting things out there and what you want. You know, because really and truly, it comes at you at the most time. You're not expecting it. You're like, it's almost like a soulmate thing. Where did he come from? Where did she come from? Like, again, I had no clue this person existed, and now they're in your life.
And you have to ask and ask, like a baby cries and cries. Yeah. And cries to this person, cries to that. Whatever it is to get until someone, you know, fulfills it. And a kid will ask and ask and ask until it's answered. They may get a yes or a no, but they will ask and ask. Asking. Exactly. And that's what we need to reinvigorate in our own lives. We continue to ask and ask and ask, and it may be no's in certain circumstances, but you go, okay, I'm not going to have that. Let me try and get this, and that.
Or your parents will say, no, you didn't do well in school this year. You're not going to get the Barbie dream house. Your birthday is in April. If you do well, maybe I'll get a few then. But that's God. But see, it's easy because your parents will tell you directly what you need to do, what you didn't do. With God, you kind of like, I don't know what I did or didn't do. But then that's where you have to keep your ears open. Right. You have to look around
figure out your actions.
Yeah, what did I, what could I do better? What haven't I been? What hasn't been working out for me? I keep doing this, but it's not working out. So maybe I need to do something different. Instead of being bullheaded, be like, I'm just going to keep knocking my head against this door until the fucking shit till it opens. I want a healthy relationship, but I'm in a relationship with a man who beats me. Or I'm a relationship man who cheats on me. But I want a healthy relationship. Well, God is going to be like, do you want me to take this man and make him perfect? Or do you want me to get you a good man? Right. Well, you got to get rid of this one.
Bad, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's where your part comes in. That's like doing your homework. That's like stop coming in late or whatever it is your parents ask you to do. But God will give you those messages. It's just you got to keep your ears open.
Yeah. And watch your actions.
And watch your actions. But we don't do that. We just think we want it. It should be working out. Or I wanted this form. No. You'll get a man. Maybe it's just not this one.
Yeah. You got to train yourself to be in the now and watch what you're doing and like you said, what your daily actions are in order
be willing to let go of some shit.
let go is, like you said, and there's a lot of things that you have to give up because it's always a sacrifice. You got to sacrifice something to get something else. You can't hold on to two things at the same time. You got to thing.
And this is the last thing I'm going to say in this segment, but I said it all this all to say that about when I was going back to the thing about the coach and pushing you, I believe that the reason certain doors, and I think this is true for you too, were not opened is because God has a bigger plan for you. And not to say that people who don't have bigger plans aren't loved or aren't favored or whatever, but I also think God knows his children and he knows who can just deal. Some people are willing to just be like, I'll just take this job. As long as I have food on my table, I can go out every weekend. I'm fine. It's good enough for me. God will say, really? It's good enough for you? Then fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on the people who is not good enough for, who want more.
Right.
And not to say that you're chosen people, but see more
we're just
in
different
you.
people, and that's why they're different jobs for different people. We all can't be the same thing. There's got to be a janitor. There's got to be someone.
But there have to be people who are okay with being janitors. But the people who aren't, he's going to go ahead and say, you know what? I see that there's more in you. You want more. So you know what? I'm willing to give you that. Yeah. But you have to want it. You know what I'm saying? And that makes me feel special. That's why I know I have a destiny that's bigger than working, at Chase or whatever. Not to say there's anything wrong with Chase, but because it's so hard, it won't work out that way. I know that there's something bigger for me. And that makes me feel better and helps me sleep at night. We're going to move on
to Ratchet TV.
Yes, Ratchet TV's next. Enough spirituality and all that. We can show you we have depth. We can talk about God and we can talk about the Real Housewives.
Exactly.